Hey there, I just wanted to make a little video here. This is of course Rome Total War, and it was yesterday I believe that, or possibly the day before, I'm not quite sure now, it'll probably be a few days after I actually recorded this video that you'll even be seeing this. So in the last week, shall we say, they have announced the development of Rome Total War 2. I'm very excited about this. Well, I wouldn't say very excited, but I just did. But obviously, what I mean is I'm. What's the word? I am excited, but I am a little bit suspicious that it may not be as great as I'm hoping it's going to be. Many reasons for this, but I'm going to go into those in a minute. The first thing I want to say is that I really hope they don't make it like Shogun 2, or at least the Avatar battles, in that the Avatar basically became the center of your world when you were playing online, and it became vastly important. Basically you leveled up your avatar as you played, and the more you won, the more you lost, whatever, you still get experience, but the more you win, the more you get experience. And this led to people farming experience online, to people getting their mates to have huge armies of worthless archers, ashigaru, and turning off fire at will, sticking in a big blob and just surround and kill, so they just grind experience. And I thought this was completely against the spirit of the game. I mean, I thought the idea in principle was fantastic, but it was just so exploitable in that fashion that, frankly, it would have been much better without it. I do love the idea of having an avatar general that follows you through the game, that you unlock stuff for, and you become more attached to over time. I think that's fantastic. I also like the idea of veteran units that you get to know and you work with, but at the same time, when you have units which can be upgraded and kept with you over time, it unbalances multiplayer, and I don't like that. I like the idea of having upgrades, certainly, but the way they did it in Shogun 2 wasn't balanced. The upgrades you got for your units didn't match up with how much it cost to buy them. The general, granted, cost a lot of money, but it was also a supremely powerful unit if you upgraded him the correct way. I think that really the game would have been much better off if it hadn't had the veteran units, or if the veteran units were just simply a veteran unit with bronze experience upgrade, or a silver experience upgrade, or a gold experience upgrade, much like Rome Total Wars. I've quickly jumped into this screen just to show an example, like right here, like say the urban cohort. If you had veteran units which just went sort of like this, you get more upgrades and then they cost more money respectively to get as they go on, then that would have been absolutely fine. But they didn't balance how much it cost between the standard unit, say 860 here, with the fully upgraded unit, which is 2,700. In Shogun 2, the fully upgraded unit would cost, I think it was an extra 50 per upgrade or something, which basically not enough, and it really unbalanced the entire match. I mean, you got a smaller army against larger armies, yes, but the experience of those larger armies was just so overwhelming, and the general themselves could get some really stupidly powerful abilities. Like you got, I once had a general be able to take on my entire army because it was at that point in multiplayer where he had all the defense upgrades and all the health upgrades, and he could literally just charge every unit in my army and just kill it, and that was it. And you guys know I'm not 100% the best online and tactician ever, but my tactics don't suck completely so much that someone could kill me with one general. So when I say that someone can come and kill your entire army with their general, they can kill your entire army with their general, and I really thought that was way too overpowered. So what I thought would be better, I'm just going to go out of here now, I don't need this anymore. What I thought would be better, if you have the avatar, yes, you can change the armor and stuff. Yes, it's customizable like Shogun 2 was. That was fantastic. I loved that part of the game where you could just edit it. But all the upgrades should be purely cosmetic. It shouldn't change the gameplay in of itself. It makes balancing a hell of a lot easier. It really makes the developer's job a lot easier, and it makes it far more balanced for the player at the end of the day. I don't think they're going to do that. I think it's going to have another online avatar system, because it did prove popular, because everyone just grinded to get up to, was it gold 10 stars or whatever, so that everyone had the Uber General of all time. But I would really love it to have the avatar, yes, but only as cosmetic. I really don't think they'll do it, but I would love to see that. I would love to have a general that followed you through, not even perhaps just multiplayer, but in campaign as well perhaps, but I'm going too far into that. Either way, that could be a great thing, it could be an awful thing. I'm also a little bit concerned about the time period. I really love the time period of Rome Total War, the first one that is, obviously, because I just love the whole idea of going through the Marian reforms and such, and then being in that, you're feeling like you're really part of it when you have your army, and then suddenly this big thing happens, and you can suddenly build much better units, and admittedly all the previous units from pre-Marian times become completely obsolete, but that's the whole point. That the reforms were such a massive thing in history that the pre-Marian units really completely obsolete. No need for them, because they had these much more much better trained troops, far more regimented, and better equipped troops post Marius reforms. So I really love that idea. I don't know what they're going to do exactly for Rome 2. I haven't read everything about it so far. I mean, I know there's not a lot out, but I haven't read a lot about it. But I really hope that they will stick to at least the similar sort of sandboxy feel that Rome Total War had, in that your nation grew with you, and there was a big twist sort of thing. But I would really love to see that. I would like to see more interest in each reform that came into Rome, the major ones. The Marius, certainly, the Augustus reforms would be fantastic. But really, I just want to see a lot more detail in that. I would love to see ship battles in Rome Total War, mainly because it's in Shogun, it's in Napoleon, I think it's in Empire. I haven't played Empire yet. I own it, I just haven't played it yet. I would love to see ship battles in Rome Total War, and I'm sure they will be. I'm sure they'll be very good, so fingers crossed for that. What else? Certainly I would like to see more diversity for the Greeks, because we know that the Spartans and the Athenians and all those other people, I can't bring any others to mind right now, but those are the two most famous. We know that they had vastly different army styles, and they fought completely differently, so I would love to see more separation from them. The Greek city-states as a group in Rome didn't really work. It worked, yes, but it didn't feel like the Greek city-states. It felt like sort of a amalgamation, which is exactly what it was, and I wasn't a fan of it. I love playing as them, granted, but they just didn't feel unique. What else to say about it? I would really love to have the replenishment system that they had in Napoleon and Shogun. I don't know if it's in an Empire, I haven't played it yet, but the replenishment system of improving your roads to increase the regeneration, and then have your units repair over time, rather than the single click repair everything this turn option they had in Rome. I really do think they're going to add that in. I think that's going to be great, because it's far more realistic than suddenly having the entire unit go from 1 man to 81, whatever. And I really love that about Napoleon and Shogun. I'm not a big fan of Napoleon, granted, but there are a few things I like, and that is one of them. I would also like to see more intelligence when it comes to trade routes blocking in Rome 2. I know that in Napoleon and in Shogun 2 you only needed one ship to block an entire supply lane. I would like to see ships proportionally represented in their blockading ability. That would be something that was not hard to add and would really add to the game. I really hope they will consider that. Other than that, I would just like to see a lot more units. I know that they went the opposite way in Shogun 2, and I think that worked against the game. It made it very simple pick up and play. It definitely appealed to more, let's say, younger audiences, but I also mean younger in the terms of Total War audience. I mean people who haven't necessarily played Total War before. It made it a lot easier to learn which units were good and which units were bad. From a casual point of view, that's fantastic. From a connoisseur's point of view, which is not really what I want to call myself, but I certainly like to really get into the game and have to learn what it's about. I know there's a lot of other people like that as well, and I really hope they'll go that route rather than the Shogun 2 route of you have these tiers of the same unit and they become better over time. I really hope they'll have a bit more variety than that in Rome 2. I'm sure they will. I really don't think they're going to make the same mistake they made in Shogun 2, but they may do, so that's something I'm really concerned about. So at the end of the day, Rome 2 could be fantastic. Oh, another thing they need is more formations, because the Roman army was not just made up of testudo. I'm sure they had testudo, but they also had a whole bunch of interlocking formations, especially a very well known one they used against Boudicca's revolt, where they had basically a whole series of triangular shaped a wall with triangles on it, basically like the edge of a saw blade is the best way to explain it, like one of those old saws, not the new ones that only cut one way, but the ones that cut both ways, if you know what I mean. If you don't, this is making no sense, but they use that to break through the barbarian lines and to refresh their troops in a cyclical fashion by having their worn out troops move back through the unit after they've done their stab at the front. They move back and then the whole unit circles around to keep them fresh and keep them ready for battle, so they would basically never tire unless they got completely wiped out. So I would like to see that represented in Rome 2 rather. I don't think they will in that regard. It could quite easily be that while they've got a certain percentage of their unit left, they don't lose any stamina from fighting. That would be really easy to implement, but again, I don't think they'll do it, and that may make Rome completely overpowered, so I don't know. But that would be an interesting thing to see, and that certainly is another tactic that Romans used. I would also like to see other tactics from other armies, like tactics that, for example, Hannibal used, the crescent shape that he used in the battle. Was it for Rome? I don't know. It was somewhere in that area anyway. When he invaded over the Alps with his elephants, he used the crescent formation, and I believe that may have been the first usage of the crescent formation. I would love to see stuff like that in Rome. So not only the Roman tactics, but tactics from other armies. I would also like to see them fix skirmish mode for horse archers especially, because it's just broken. Other than that, yeah, I'm going to stop ranting, but those are a few things that I really hope are in Rome 2. I think it has the potential to be an absolutely phenomenal game. Rome Total War, the original, of course, is quite far and away my favourite strategy game of all time. I think Rome 2 could quite easily surpass it, but they have to make certain things work properly, otherwise it's going to be a great game certainly, but it will have those things about it that just make it break, and you'll go back to the original because the original is almost perfect. For its engine, for when it was made, for how it plays, it is almost perfect. So they're going to have a very hard time making Rome 2 superior to Rome in that regard. I'm very restrained with my excitement. I sincerely hope they make it a much better game than Rome 1. I have my suspicions that it won't be as good. I sincerely wish it would be far, far better, and I hope it's so good that I never come back to the original ever again. I'll say that. But I don't think that'll ever happen. I think Rome 2 will be good, if not fantastic. If they don't make any mistakes, it could be absolutely brilliant. Could be quite possibly the best game ever made, ever. But we will see, I suppose. Those are my thoughts on Rome Total War 2 and Rome Total War the original. If you want to have your say, just leave a comment down below. I read all my comments, or at least I read about 95% of them. Occasionally I'll miss some because YouTube doesn't tell me I've got comments, but I make a point of trying to read everyone's comments, and I do try to reply to most of them. Sometimes I don't have anything to say, so I don't, but I do try to reply to everyone. So yeah, leave your opinions, if you agree with me, if you don't agree, if you can think of something that I've forgotten that would be great for the game, leave a comment below, and I hope you will enjoy Rome Total War 2 as I will, or I hope you will enjoy it more than I do if my fears turn out to be well founded. But let's not leave on a negative note. Let's say that we're really looking forward to Rome Total War 2, and we're going to continue to play Rome 1 Total War until it comes out, because it's just so amazingly awesome. So yeah, I hope you agree with me, and I will see you for another Let's Play sometime at some point. Playing online, and it became vastly important. Basically, you leveled up your avatar as you played, and the more you won, the more you lost, whatever, you still get experience, but the more you win, the more you get experience, and this led to people farming experience online, to people getting their mates to have huge armies of worthless archers, Ashigaru, you know, and turning off fire at will, sticking in a big blob and just surround and kill, so they just grind experience. And at the same time, when you have units which can be upgraded and kept with you over time, it unbalances multiplayer, and I don't like that. I like the idea of having upgrades, certainly, but the way they did it in Shogun 2 wasn't balanced. The upgrades you got for your units didn't match up with how much it cost to buy them. The general, granted, cost a lot of money, but it was also a supremely powerful unit if you upgraded him the correct. I thought this was completely against the spirit of the game. I mean, I thought the idea in principle was fantastic, but it was just so exploitable in that fashion that, frankly, it would have been much better without it. I do love the idea of having an avatar general that follows you through the game, that you unlock stuff for, and you become more attached to over time. I think that's fantastic. I also like the idea of veteran units that you get to know and you work with. But what's the word? I am excited, but I am a little bit suspicious that it may not be as great as I'm hoping it's going to be. Many reasons for this, but I'm going to go into those in a minute. The first thing I want to say is that I really hope they don't make it like Shogun 2, or at least the avatar battles, in that the avatar basically became the center of your world when you... Hey there! I just wanted to make a little video here. This is, of course, Rome Total War, and it was yesterday, I believe, that, or possibly the day before, I'm not quite sure now, it'll probably be a few days after I actually recorded this video that you'll even be seeing this. So, in the last week, shall we say, they have announced the development of Rome Total War 2. I'm very excited about this. Well, I wouldn't say very excited, but I just did, but obviously what I mean is I'm